6 years of sobriety, 6 secrets that I want to share with you that I believe can level up your life and your sobriety. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, these secrets can help us reveal and heal who we are meant to be. Welcome back to the Sober Web, my friend. I am Clark, and yes, this is my 6-year sobriety video. And because of that, I want to share the real down and dirty truth about sobriety and what you have to do and what you have to face in order to make your recovery more than just giving up alcohol or a substance or whatever the addiction is. And the first one is simply that fear is everything. Fear is the root of addiction. Fear is the root of why we struggle so much in life. And if you really want to step into a true sober life, you've got to face your fears. You've got to get to know them. And I know that's really scary to think about, but if you don't do all of this, the anxiety will never go away. The constant fear about relapsing will never go away. The worry about what if I slip up or I make a mistake, it will never go away. But the power of getting to know your fears and facing your fears is ultimately about you knowing that they do not have to control you. They don't have to control your emotions. They don't have to control your action, and that you can face the hardest of times and go into the deepest of fears and come out of it completely sober, if not even more sober and more strong and more resilient than before. In the comments, let me know a fear that you struggle with when it comes to quitting alcohol, or maybe a fear that you recognize as a trigger in terms of how you've coped with life in the past, whether it's through a substance or alcohol or some other type of addiction. I'd love to know more about your fears so we can talk about them, because there's a lot to discuss and they're really quite intriguing when you get down to it. The second secret that I've learned in 6 years of sobriety is that your grief matters. I don't think a lot of people talk about addiction recovery or even struggles with addiction in terms of grief that they're suffering. But I bet if you were to sit with yourself for a while and think about what you're feeling sad about, what you're grieving, you might begin to see a bit of a trend in the pattern of how you've used things to escape reality or to cope with the sadness. And grief doesn't just have to do with like losing someone or someone dying or someone being gone from our life. It comes in so many small forms, even as children, broken homes, lost dreams, failing out of school, never getting to the college that we want to go to, letting our parents down, feeling like we're a disappointment. All these things that make us feel sad, but we don't know how to acknowledge it because we've not been taught how to acknowledge our grief. And so we fall into this trap of using alcohol or drugs or something else to take away the pain and the sadness because we just ultimately don't know what our grief is actually about. But if you really want to excel in sobriety and overcome your addiction, you have got to get to know your grief. All right, the third secret that I learned after quitting alcohol 6 years ago is that the ego is not your friend. The ego is not how you feel about yourself. That's confidence. The ego is the part of you that wants you to believe you can control the addiction, that you can take a few months off and then go back and things will be different. The ego is the thing that wants you to have the last laugh or to get the last word in. It's the thing that makes you not want to let go of the past and maybe forgive others for what they've done to you, or maybe even forgive yourself for mistakes that you've made because of addiction. The ego wants you to suffer. It wants you to be stuck in addiction because in addiction, you'll never find the peace that you're looking for. The peace that you think alcohol or drugs or whatever it is gives you, which obviously wears off after time, and then we're just left feeling miserable all over again. So it becomes this cycle over and over and over, and it's miserable. Hit the like button if you know what I mean. But my friend, the ego is not your friend. But understanding how it works against you allows you to put it in its place so that you can move on from the life that it wants you to lead. Read books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The link's in the description below. That book will open your eyes to what I'm talking about. But the ego is that little demon on your shoulder, and it wants to hold you back. It wants to keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. So be aware of it, put it in check, and be okay with the fact that you have a problem that needs to be dealt with, but by dealing with it, it can go away forever. The fourth secret that I learned had to do with resentment. And I honestly didn't even really know what resentment was until I got sober. But it's a pretty interesting thing. It's a mixture of envy and self-pity. We're envious that people seem to have something that we don't have, and it makes us feel inferior, or it makes us feel insecure, and it makes us feel bad about ourselves, so thus we drink, or we use, or we do something that just kind of takes away the pain, or the ideas that we're not worthy of what other people have. Other people seem happy, we're not happy. We're miserable, we drink. Other people are rich, we're not rich, so we're unhappy, we're miserable, we drink. And honestly, it ties into the ego. The ego wants you to be envious of others. It wants you to resent others because that pushes you back to the addiction. But you've got to let go of the envy. You've got to let go of the resentment. You've got to let go of the anger towards other people because it's not helping you live your best life, especially if addiction is in the picture. And even outside of the addiction, once you're getting sober, if that envy and that resentment and that anger doesn't go away, you're still going to be unhappy. We've all heard of dry drunks. People that have stopped drinking or stopped using, but they're still just as miserable as they were when they were using or drinking, or in the throes of whatever their addiction is. Nobody wants to be a dry drunk. It's not fun, it's not flattering, and it's ultimately just a telltale sign of someone that has not done the work around the bitterness in their own heart. So if you really want to take your sobriety to the next level, you've got to face the resentment, just like you got to face the fear, just like you got to put the ego in check, just like you got to get to know your grief. Hit the like button if you understand what I'm saying about all of that so far, and that you're still with me in this video, because I hope that you haven't left yet, because the sixth one's coming up, and that's the really, really important one. All right, the fifth secret, and this might be a really good one for people in early sobriety to hear, is that you can never drink again. You cannot go back to the addiction. There is no controlling it. There is no giving another go. There is no being normal socially. If you've come to realize that you have a negative relationship with alcohol or something that has control over you, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not weak. You're not a mess up. You're not a lost cause. You've simply fallen into a habitual use of something that makes you feel better because it takes away the emotion or the pain. It allows you to escape reality. But once you come to accept that, which is part of putting your ego in check and admitting there's a problem, you can never go back, because things will not change. I'm a huge advocate of people becoming fully recovered from their addiction. I'm a recovered alcoholic, but I will never drink alcohol ever again, because ultimately I've lost all desire to drink it. So for those in early sobriety, I really hope that this secret hits home, because as hard as it is to accept, you cannot go back. You cannot take a sip. And if you need some reasons to stay sober, check out that video right there, because I give 10 of my top reasons why I stay sober every single day. And while we're at it, just let me know in the comments below your sober date. Hit the like button if you're sober, because I want to celebrate your sobriety and your courage to do an amazing thing for you. And finally, the sixth secret. After 6 years of sobriety, this is the most amazing thing that I've learned. And I already kind of touched on it because I mentioned recovered. You are not cursed. You can recover from alcoholism, addiction, whatever your coping mechanism is. You can get your power back and not feel like a failure anymore. I know that so many people out there will say things like once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, or once an addict, always an addict. And I've talked about this in other videos, but in case you missed that, I want this message to hit home over and over and over. You do not have to be an alcoholic or an addict or struggling with an addiction for the rest of your life. It's part of your story, but it does not have to be all of your story. Part of life is just practicing how to be a human, and sometimes that requires going through an addiction and getting out of it. We're practicing how to face our fears. We're practicing how to get rid of our anger and our resentment. We're practicing with putting our ego in check. We're practicing how to deal with our grief and our sadness in a healthy way. And this sixth secret kind of ties all the secrets together, because it all moves you towards this life of sobriety that you might think is a dream and just a wish. And I am no different than anyone else. But my compulsion, my obsession, my need for alcohol to numb out, to turn reality off, to stop my thinking brain, it's completely gone. And I can face things today that would have broken me in a second years and years ago. And I believe that everyone can do the same, and I believe that you can do the same. So if anything, from this entire video, I hope this sixth one really hits home, because I know how it feels to be hopeless and thinking you're powerless and that you're cursed or that nothing's going to change ever. In the first year or two of sobriety, it might feel a little bit more rough. That's because you're starting to acclimate to a different way of living. You're starting to operate in an emotional world that normal people have been doing for a while. But it will get better if you just do the work, if you use these secrets to start somehow getting to know the root and the why of your addiction and your struggles with a substance or alcohol in the first place. So there you have it. My sober date's October 1st, 2017, and this video is made on the cusp of my 6th year of sobriety. I hope that someone's watching this on my 20th year of sobriety, but I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you let me know in the comments what secret spoke to you the most, or maybe which one you want to talk about more. But hit the like button if you found this video valuable. Please share it with someone who needs to hear this, and then I hope that you will consider subscribing to my channel so I can support your sober journey. And then after you do that, please hit the bell. That way you don't miss any of the videos that I release every single week. Until I see you again, I hope that you'll check out that video right there. But much love and much life. I'm Clark with the Sober Webb, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.